Again, my name is Josh. I'm marketing manager here at Hatch. I deal with partnerships, working with other products in the space to provide added value for our customers. And we recently built an integration with ActiveProspect, and we'll talk on that integration in a bit. But I'm really excited about working with Ruben, working with his team over at ActiveProspect as part of my role here. Great partner, great product they have. So Ruben, thanks for joining. Welcome.
No, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Josh. We're really excited to be presenting with you, and just really excited to be partnered. So thanks for having us.
Excellent. So let's just
start with some data here, guys. Modernize just came out with an awesome ebook that talked through some interesting data on homeowners and how they're looking towards the off season or the winter season. And what's interesting is that 55% of homeowners plan to continue home improvement projects this winter. So what's seen as traditionally the off season for home improvement, we're finding that there's a lot of demand. Demand is spiking. When the pandemic hit, we obviously saw a decline in demand for a month or so, and then it's almost as if the busy season got pushed forward a month in home improvement. So we find that very interesting, and it's clear that projects are going to continue over the winter. You're going to be booked out. Leads are going to continue to flow in. So it's important that you have a strategy in place to not only one, get qualified leads that your sales team can work, but two, make sure that you are fast to the lead. So this is just an interesting stat that we found yesterday because it just came out. Another stat that just came out is 76% of homeowners do not plan on traveling this holiday season. What does that mean? They're stuck at home. They're staring at that eyesore of a project that they haven't completed. They're looking at that roof, looking at that siding, looking at that bathroom. So this is, a statistic that really supports what we talked about earlier with respect to the winter being busy. They're stuck at home and they're likely going to be looking for jobs to be completed.
Yeah, I also read that report from Modernize / Queen Street, and I guess there was also like a 2% percentage there of people who aren't traveling. I guess obviously I'm not part of that 2%, but what I'm hearing, or I'd be interested in hearing what others here on the call are experiencing, but that the data showing interior contractors not having that same lift, but ultimately exterior projects where you have a contractor outside of the home, but things like kitchen remodels or bath remodels not being as significant as others. And I'm curious if others here on the webinar are experiencing that same.
It's a great point, Ruben. We're seeing this in search trends
as well. Looking at here, the Google search trend for remodeling, lockdowns begin. The amount of searches for remodeling has shot up. Roofing, same story. And Ruben, contractors near me, that absolutely spiked as soon as the lockdown began.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Everybody who's in home improvement, within those first 30, 60 days of COVID was trying to figure it out. Obviously, the ones who are, highly skilled and sophisticated kind of had a easier takeoff, but certainly people, as they stay in their home more, are kind of looking around and going, oh yeah, maybe I should fix that. Maybe I should do that project, or yeah, this is time to kind of roll up the sleeves and DIY. So it totally makes sense.
Awesome. So let's poll the audience
here. How's business going for you? And I recognize that there's other industries aside from home improvement here, so we'll make sure that we're covering our bases here in terms of how we talk about things. We'll talk about it a little more broad here, guys. So I'm going to poll the audience right now. So head on over to the poll section. How is business going for you? Better than last year, same as last year, worse than last year? No matter what industry you are impacted by the pandemic, whether good or bad. So I'm going to start this poll and let us know how business is going for you.
And I'll chime in. I mean, when COVID first hit, like I mentioned, everyone was trying to figure it out. And, we have about 50 different home service brands, whether it's manufacturers or direct contractors and buyers. And, we heard a lot of, what are we going to do? How's this going to affect us? We need to reforecast. And over the last 90 days, I've heard from a number of clients that they're having the best months ever. Matter of fact, a large bath remodel manufacturer who's been around forever recently said that they just had their best month ever in September, and they were able to do so with a double-digit lower media spend. So, more sales at a lower cost, right? So it seems very utopic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like the
audience
for some.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like
For this audience here, it's about an equal spread between better than last year, same as last year, and worse than last year. So either way today, guys, we're going to provide you with some really good insights into making sure that you're working qualified leads. You're not dealing with bogus leads. And the second piece, of course, is making sure that you're fast to them. So this should be a good session no matter where you are as a business today. I'm excited to have everybody on here. So thanks again for joining here. So again, like I mentioned before, we're going to talk about making sure you're getting qualified leads, making sure you're getting to them first. I'm also going to give you guys some messaging templates that help get appointments booked. It's one thing getting a lead. It's another thing actually getting the appointment book, or if you're a B2B company, a demo booked. So it's important that you are not only first to lead, but also you're making sure you're setting the appointment. So I'm going to give you guys some templates there, as well as what do you do if leads don't respond. So we'll touch on that in a bit.
I think we might have lost Ruben traveling from.
Josh, yeah, so unfortunately, the slide is not showing up on my screen exactly right now. So just give me 1 second. Let me just make sure I pull up our Google slide. Can you just mention verbally what slide are we on?
Yeah, we're on
learning a little bit about ActiveProspect here, Ruben.
It's going to be about ActiveProspect. So I'll just jump into it. So ActiveProspect, we're based out of Austin, Texas. We're a lead acquisition platform. Ultimately, our whole goal is to provide buyers as well as sellers the ability to engage in consent-based marketing solutions. So our platform allows companies to capture leads from any source, whether that's O&O or third-party leads. You can filter, you can reject unqualified leads. Ultimately, you can create rule-based logic. And then once you invest in the lead, you can ultimately use third-party enhancements. We have a number of integrations, including Hatch, which we're excited to partner with. And then ultimately, we can deliver to any CRM, any endpoint, any system, which thanks.
For sure. Awesome, Ruben.
A little bit about Hatch is we're a home improvement messaging platform designed to increase your close rates. So what we do is we help you bring together all your messaging in your business in one place. Whether you're looking to instantly text, email, leave a voicemail for new leads that come in, automate that follow-up after the appointment because we're connected to your CRM, or even collect customer reviews, we can do that all in our platform. And it's designed to be super collaborative, so your entire team can work in the Hatch workspace, have those conversations, and work the deal from start to finish. And after the job is completed, to get that review, get that repeat business, get that referral. And really, we've got a lot of expertise in the industry, so we know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And we recently announced a new integration with our friends at ActiveProspect, where if you're using ActiveProspect's lead conduit, you can actually instantly message leads that come in over text, email, and voicemail as soon as they pass through ActiveProspect's lead conduit. So if you're using ActiveProspect, I encourage you to use Hatch for that speed to lead, making sure you're getting the appointments booked, helping you with sales follow-up. It's a really clean integration and is helping contractors get to leads faster and set more appointments. So that's about it in terms of our companies. We're here today to provide you some value. So let's just get right to it. Here, again, at the end of the webinar, we're going to do a giveaway. So we're giving away 1 month of Hatch for free to instantly text, email, and leave a voicemail for all new leads that come in. So we'll connect up to your lead sources. Whatever you're using to get leads, we'll connect up to those lead sources and connect that to Hatch, whether you're using ActiveProspect or Home Advisor, not using ActiveProspect, or whatever the case may be. This is going to be a giveaway for you, 1 month of Hatch for free. We allow you to instantly engage with those leads. So stick around to the end of the webinar and we're going to announce it.
All right. The first step is
ensure every new lead is qualified. So Ruben, you want to share some information about how to ensure that leads are qualified?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the main things is, obviously working with quality vendors, which I know we mentioned a few previously, but ultimately, one of the core things is that 20% of third-party leads are unqualified. And so when we say unqualified, that's really a broad, kind of statement, but really has to come down to is leads that ultimately you can reject that either have bad or inaccurate data. I know a lot of contractors purchase leads based on a zip code list or a state or a region list. So also entering into your system rather than traditionally you would accept them into your system and then send them back after finding out that they're unqualified. A big part of what we do too is mitigating fraud, obviously in lead generation or digital. Who are on the call probably know there's out there, so we're here to help detect that. And then ultimately TCPA compliance. And if you're not aware of TCPA and what that is, you can give us a call and we'll talk more about it. But simply put, there's a bunch of litigators out there who are looking to sue brands because they fill out web forms, and when you call them or if you email them or you text them and they're on the do not call list, they're ultimately looking to litigate. So we help companies protect themselves by simply purchasing compliant leads and data and rejecting ones that aren't. And so this visual that we're showing here is really the essence of what we do. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a lead form, whether that's your own website or a third-party provider. On the right is going to be your LMS or your database or your CRM, whether that's Salesforce or whatever else, tons of them that are out there. And really what our company does is we really sit right there in the middle, which is that lead acquisition, that raw lead to qualified lead. And we give you the ability through automation and through API technology to really detect which leads. I like to kind of say like we're underwriting in real time and ultimately giving you a data highway that allows you to onboard and offboard the right leads as needed. So now, Josh, if you're going to the next slide, which is kind of the user submitted, let's kind of talk about that and kind of what we do, right? So on the top left-hand corner, you're going to see John Stevens with their phone number and their email. And traditionally, this is exactly what a lead is being purchased, what you're getting. Well, all the things in blue are all the things that our clients and prospects are doing along with others. In this instance, you're hitting a financial API, so you're getting the home value. You're looking at a credit score based off the ZIP +4. You're assigning a credit grade. You're then verifying the email. Is this an email that's valid that I want to send out to, that I want to send to Hatch, to outbound, that I want to send somewhere else? We're also using a phone enhancement, and we have several different integrations, Ekata, MyPages Pro, but ultimately you can take the phone number and do a reverse phone lookup to append the name, just make sure that the lead matches the name on the carrier. You can also append the address, as well as other demographic data, such as age, things of that nature. Once you've done that and you've verified the phone number, which is usually the most critical part, you're then saying, hey, is this a lead that I've already purchased in the last 30 days through our suppression list? Is it a lead that I've had as a customer in the past? Yes. Is it a current customer of mine? No. And those suppression lists allow you to treat customers differently so that you're not using the same talkback on somebody who's knowledgeable about your brand or even worked with you in the past versus somebody who just found out about you. And then the far right, demographic data is very important. We have a lot of customers who are starting to get very sophisticated. They want to know the age range, the gender, whether someone's married, whether they have children, whether they've gone to college. And this information, though it's not used to reject, when you invest in a lead, whether it's $20, $30, $40, $100, you can spend an additional quarter or whatnot to get valuable information that your call center staff or your appointment setter could be using to really turn the conversation right from the get-go so that you're converting more of these leads when you initially touch them. And then last but not least, Trusted Form, which is our TCPA compliant visual lead certification product. It gives you a lot of metadata along with giving you compliance. A lot of the things that we're doing with Trusted Form, such as time on page, we're seeing that as a big indicator of conversion. So, for instance, if somebody's on a page and looking at your website for a minute or 2 minutes, probably far more likely or interested in somebody than somebody who maybe was on there for a second or 2 seconds that could possibly be a buy. We also, one question that I always ask is, hey, are your sales coming from mobile or are they coming from PC? And ultimately being able to know that type of information right when you get the lead can help calibrate the way that you call and ultimately use a better cadence inside of your your company to maximize the investment on the leads that you're purchasing.
Yeah, Ruben, I'll be the first one to say,
Hey, if they're on their mobile device and we know that as soon as a lead comes in, the power of a text message is going to be, exponential, right? Because they're already on the device that they're going to receive the text from. So all this data is just absolutely valuable as you're setting the appointment and working a lead. It's fantastic.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And as time goes on and there's more data that's available, the ability for you to capture that and to utilize all the information that's available to you on the World Wide Web is becoming a more powerful tool than ever before. And why not home service contractors tapping into the same way financial institutions or education or big brands are?
For sure, Ruben. And I think we talked about this earlier.
you gotta throw in Ricky Bobby here when we're talking about speed.
I think anytime you have Ricky Bobby on a slide, it's time to take some serious notes here. But yeah, speed to lead, right? Speed to lead's key. Everybody knows that. I don't think anybody purchases a lead for $20, $30, $40 and said, you know what, I'll get around to that when I can. I mean, the key is getting a hold of that lead first, especially when you're on purchasing multi-sell leads or non-exclusive leads. And ultimately, Lead Conduit allows you to, in real time, within milliseconds, get your lead from your vendor into your CRM or your dialer, as well as into a service like Hatch, where you can ultimately outbound and reap the largest investment from your media spend.
For sure, and you hit the nail on the head
in terms of speed. What we found, and this is published study from Harvard Business Review, you're 7 times more likely to set an appointment, and this is regardless of what industry you're in. 7 times more likely to set an appointment if you respond to a new lead in 1 hour versus 2 hours, and you're 21 times more likely to close a deal if you respond in less than 5 minutes. So Ruben made a great point. Like, a lot of you guys are buying leads, and those leads are not exclusive to you. They're being sent to 2, 3, 4, 5 other folks that are trying to act on the lead. Well, if you're first to the lead, you beat your competitors to that lead, you're 20 more times likely to buy that deal. And another stat that came out recently was 50% of homeowners actually buy from the contractor that reaches out to them first. So especially if you're in home improvement, speed is everything, especially if you can engage with them fast and over text first. So we always stress the importance of text to start out the conversation, especially if a majority of people that are online are on their mobile device when they're shopping around for quotes. So it's important that you are leading with text. So I'm curious for you guys in the audience here, when you get a new lead, what are you doing? Are you texting, emailing, calling, doing a combination of all of those? Let us know in the poll on the right-hand side of the screen.
I'm curious about the results.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, there's been many times where I've been in conversations where, clients who are purchasing, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in media aren't calling them aggressively or have a call cadence that's relative to the cost per lead. A lot of times I hear from people that they're calling the same lead that costs $5 the same way they would call a lead that's $100. And ultimately, if you're not using SMS or text, that's also a disadvantage that a lot of companies are using.
For sure. Okay, so it looks like a bulk of you
guys are calling. Second is email, and third is text. There's a lot of room for opportunity here, guys, to be incorporating texting in your business. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. So thanks for the participation there.
And this is from that same exact
survey. This is a big survey of thousands of homeowners, but more than 50% of homeowners prefer to communicate with their contractor via text message. So texting is super important, especially now more than ever. Absolutely critical here. And I'm going to talk through, a brief story about how a very large siding contractor, ABC Seamless, they do a lot in terms of home improvement, siding, roofing, gutters, how they implemented speed to lead in their business by starting off with text. And they ended up making $50,000 a month in additional sales. So what they did, and then they used Hatch to empower this, is they connected Hatch to all their lead sources And as soon as the lead came in, they were able to automatically text those leads and follow up over email and what we call ringless voicemail, where it's a voicemail drop. So they pre-record the voicemail to the lead and then drop that voicemail as part of that call cadence and that messaging cadence. It ended up saving them 5 hours of time per week because, follow-up with leads can be inconsistent, especially when you guys are getting really, really busy and you're hopping from job to job. Your appointment setter might be also scheduling installations. So a lot's going on. And if you can have something run in the background and automate this with something like a Hatch connected to an ActiveProspect, you're going to win. You're going to save a lot of time and make a lot of money. And this is a perfect example, $50,000, a month in additional sales for those folks. So
I'll just kind of chime in on that real quick. I've heard the same, and the more that you can kind of come with that omni-channel approach, whether it's not just calling, but calling at different times during the day. If you're calling in the morning, you can't get a hold, but then your system is now calling in the evening, and then you're kind of switching up, sending SMSs along with ringless voicemails. It really makes for a all-encompassing approach. And I encourage those who are listening and just our clients in general, have a kaleidoscope of different methods that you're using, the same way sometimes you are using multiple lead vendors or multiple different sources to compile the leads that you're getting.
That's a great point, Ruben. And when you actually are collecting that information on the lead, it's important to be personalized in your follow-up. So obviously we mentioned speed to lead is everything. It's important to be fast, but it's also important to not sound like a freaking robot. Nobody's going to respond to a text message that sounds like a robot and doesn't sound personalized. So this is an example of Basic Exteriors roofing siding contractor, where you have your first name referenced in the text message here that you collect in the form. And then also you see what they're interested in and you reference that in the text message. So you can create a very personalized outreach based upon what they enter into the form. And this is all automated. So we can see here like, oh, I'm interested in roofing. So let's reference this in the text message. Hi, Josh, this is Josh from Basic Exteriors. I saw you requested a quote on our website for new roofing. Do you have a few minutes to chat? So we found this to be a really successful intro message, especially for folks that do a lot of different services. Reference what they requested, make it seem personalized. Don't have press, reply stop communications. All that stuff is going to make it sound like a bot. So it's important that you're coming across as a human being. And if we can layer in data.
Oh, I was just going to ask Josh, in regards to, and I should know this, photos. Is Hatch, are you able to use photos in Hatch? And if so, are you seeing differences in conversions when people use, if I'm a plumber and I use a plumbing photo versus a non-photo?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, we definitely encourage adding photos to your texts, and we do that here at Hatch. It's particularly important for appointment confirmations. So a lot of times what happens is you set the appointment and then a homeowner might cancel the appointment. But when you set the appointment and you include a photo of the rep and make it super personalized, it'll definitely increase the likelihood of them not canceling. Another way that folks are differentiating themselves is including a logo of their company on that initial outreach. So that way, if they are trying to get a bunch of quotes at one point, you differentiate yourself with your brand as part of your initial follow-up. So pretend that I just included the Basic Exteriors logo right here. That's another good way to differentiate yourself, especially if they've got a lot of folks maybe texting them or emailing them. They can see and click through the email and see, or the text message and see, oh, that's Basic Exteriors, the brand.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure. And Matt made a good point here in the chat here. Said, I think it helps to know who's coming out to your home, especially during COVID. So that's a good point. People are a little bit concerned and worried when folks are, new folks are coming to the home. So it definitely adds a sense of trust there. So great point there, Matt. Thanks for engaging there. And if we can layer this data that we collect here on the form with the additional awesome data that ActiveProspect can provide using their partners, it's absolutely, it makes a huge difference for the appointment setter, the person in the call center. You can also, even connected to Hatch, run specific campaigns based upon, their home value or their credit score. So for example, if somebody has a really awesome credit score, the first text might be, oh, and we also offer, competitive financing options, because that person's going to, qualify for a really good financing offer. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this data, and I want to talk through a few of those today. So let's just look through 4 different pieces of metadata that we talked about on the last slide and why that's important and what that means. So I mentioned before, obviously you can have that the reps are able to be armed with that really relevant information, but the other piece is you're able to bucketize those leads and personalize that outreach based upon a specific homeowner attribute. And there's 4 key ones that I wanted to point out here.
Yeah, and I'll take the first one in terms of home value, right? I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. The larger the home, the potentially larger the ticket size for you as a contractor or as a brand. And ultimately, if you have a larger ticket size, you're going to want to spend more time on those areas of those regions in terms of call cadence or in terms of additional outreach, because ultimately that revenue is going to be higher. So I see that time and time again where you're taking into account home value, you're taking into account credit score, because ultimately you're going to have more finance options that are available. And so those are 2 major ones that I see within our portfolio, especially with solar providers, manufacturing brands who are really honing in on home value and credit score.
Yeah, for sure. And when you go to the home, you can come in and say, okay, your home is valued at this, and the project is worth this. Here's how much your home value is going to increase when you do this project. Look at the net difference. It's a no-brainer for you to get this project done with us. And from a credit score standpoint, we, Hatch here at Hatch, we're partners with some finance providers, and one of them in particular, they're called Hearth. Hearth actually has a really good product that pre-qualifies folks for financing across various lenders. So what's interesting here is that if you know the credit score going in, you can actually pre-qualify the homeowner coming into the appointment and know what their options are from a pre-qual standpoint. So that's another really good way of utilizing that metadata. Marital status, is there 1 or 2 decision makers? Knowing that going into the appointment is freaking huge, guys. You're able to understand, okay, is there somebody else that needs to be involved in the buying decision?
Absolutely. And that kind of just brings me back to kind of the first one, home value, but really, when did the person purchase the home? Like, are they a new homeowner? Did they just purchase it? Are they kind of still going through some of the, when you buy a home, some of the things that you're looking at initially, or have they been there for 20, 30 years and own the home? We have an integration with CoreLogic where you can actually pull the vested title and match the lead with the actual title to see, is this a lead? Is the person on the actual title, which is vital to knowing that, but also to understanding if they're the person you should be running credit on when it comes to financing. And in terms of time on web page, I think we mentioned that earlier, just being a great buying signal. Think of yourself when you're filling out a web form, really for any product, when you're highly interested, like the way I am when I'm on REI or when I'm on Patagonia, I'm on their website for 45 minutes, right, looking for a jacket or whatnot. Whereas if it's something that I'm not very interested in, I just kind of want to get to the next page, I'm just kind of tabbing in and clicking what I have normally saved, and I just kind of want to get what I want. So time on web page is a major indicator and should be factored into your either lead scoring or your call cadence for your team.
It's a great point, Ruben. And here's what that looks like if you're using Hatch when you're working a contact. So this is a view of Hatch. We're working this contact, Erin. Erin came in on our website and we instantly texted her and said, hey, this is Josh from Basics here. Just saw you requested a quote for new roofing. Do you have a few minutes to chat? She responded, yes. But what's interesting here on the right-hand side, as your rep is working this contact, you're going to have information like home value, credit score, marital status, age range. All the data that you're pulling in from ActiveProspect is going to come right into here into Hatch. So as you're working the lead, whether you are the sales rep or the appointment setter or the install manager, you're able to have all this data at your disposal. So you're able to be super, super relevant. So that's just how it looks visually. And I think it's important to point that out because you're having the conversation here in the middle, and then on the right-hand side, you're able to actually see that enhanced data there. But obviously, guys, the leads aren't going to always respond the first time. It sometimes takes anywhere from 4 to 6 touch points before they actually respond, and you can get the appointment set. So it's important that you establish a really good follow-up strategy, follow-up cadence across texting, emails, and voicemails. And I'm going to show you guys a cadence that works really well. So feel free to take a screenshot, take some notes here. Day one, the lead comes in, start off with text message. And then day two is your second touch point where you combine texting, emailing, and calling. Hopefully, if people respond to text, text is super effective to start off, and we see a higher response rate over text. So you don't necessarily have to email and call the first day. But day two, for sure, if they don't respond, follow up with the text, follow up with the email, follow up with a call. And if you're using something like a Hatch, you can do a ringless voicemail. So you actually don't have to pick up the phone. You can just drop a voicemail and they think they just missed a call. And then day four, special offer. Offer something that you might have on your website that they didn't know that you guys offered. Incentivize them to respond over text and email. And then touch four, day seven is the Hail Mary. I call it like the breakup text. Obviously, hopefully you've never broken up with somebody over text, maybe in high school. But the breakup text is ultimately going to be your text message that say, hey, you're still interested in pursuing this project. And that has proven to be pretty effective because.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh. I was just going to say that it's kind of rude to break up via text, certainly. One thing that I'll mention here is all these different cadences and all these outreach. One of the main reasons why I love this partnership is because here at ActiveProspect, we're capturing the consent. There's tons of lead vendors out there. You mentioned a few of them: Home Advisor, Modernize, Forge. And we have a number of them listed on our website that are certified trusted form vendors where you are getting the consent, we're recording it, we're storing it for you on your behalf. And ultimately, all of these different outreach, you can do these all safely, knowing that you can reach out via text, you can reach out via phone, via RVM, and know that you have what our CEO likes to call the golden ticket, which is ultimately the ability lawfully to call these homeowners or consumers for the product that they gave you consent to call for.
It's a great point, Ruben. And what we love here is that multi-touch follow-up.
If you can automate this using something like a Hatch, my God, it's absolutely critical. It saves you tons of time. So this is just a view of our campaign builder here. Day one, text. Day two, and we've got templates for your business that you can implement, and you can customize it however you'd like. And this is just an example of the campaign builder. So as soon as the lead comes in, they're dropped into this campaign. When they respond, make sure the system will automatically take them out of the campaign. If you're doing this manually, just make sure that you're not continuing to follow up and you mark that in your CRM or whatever you're using. But regardless of whether or not you're using Hatch, I want to just touch on this real quick. Feel free to take a screenshot. This is a really effective cadence. We've seen have the highest appointment set rate. And then just make sure you're taking folks out when they respond. And here at Hatch, we can do that automatically. Here's an example of this is actually a real window company that I scrubbed the information on them. But this is an example of how they set an appointment. I thought this was really interesting. So day one, they said, hey, this is Josh from ABC Windows. Do you have a few minutes right now to talk about your project? So it's always important to get people on the phone. You don't necessarily have to hold the conversation over text. It's a lot easier just to talk on the phone. So have it super open-ended. Do you have a few minutes to talk? It doesn't make you sound like a robot. And then if they don't respond and say, hey, I'm happy to provide a free quote virtually or in person. Which would you prefer? So a lot of people are shopping around. What we found is a lot of folks are actually preferring the virtual appointment option. So if you provide a service if you're a home improvement contractor, I definitely encourage you guys to start implementing virtual appointments in your business. If you go to Hatch, go to our blog, we've got a lot of resources for you there to help you guys run a virtual appointment. But ask them, give the homeowner the option, virtual, in person, which would you prefer? And they actually didn't get a response to that either. So they brought about an offer that was public on their website. It wasn't anything secret, but they said, hey, are you looking to replace your windows? I'm authorized to provide a 15% discount if we can get your windows installed by May 31st. Obviously, this is back in May. This is right in the height of the beginning of the pandemic. But putting a time to the offer is usually pretty effective here because it's a limited time, and they sent this on May 14th. So again, the person responded and said, sorry for the delay, been busy the last few days, give me a call. And they actually set the appointment and closed, I think it was a $7 or $8 grand window job. It was a pretty big job. So kudos to them and kudos to the continued follow-up there. And they were using Hatch to do that. So want to highlight that conversation.
I was just going to say, Josh, that's a great example of, obviously, automated tenacity, right? A lot of times that I've seen throughout call centers or throughout outbound campaigns is, and we talked about it earlier, right? Speed to lead. If you're buying a non-exclusive lead and that lead's being sold to 2 or 3, 4 different contractors that are offering the same service as you, a lot of time companies give up after day 1, day 2, day 3, or certainly after the first week, because they're buying more leads and focusing on those newer leads first. And if you are a company and you're able to utilize automated technology that is conversational, that feels like it's coming, from a real person, ultimately a lot of homeowners just get bombarded. And so they kind of just wait it out. And if you're coming back around a week later and you're showing the consistency of following up with, offers such as this, I've seen it time and time again where, last man standing, you're first to the punch and you're winning as much business as you can there. But certainly as time goes on, if you're, offering that cadence and giving those consumers the opportunity to easily set up an appointment or easily conversate with you, which we all know SMS and text is certainly the easiest as of today. So great example.
Yeah, Ruben, I love the term automated tenacity. And we found automated tenacity to work as well as work very well after the appointment as well. So you run the appointment, you do your sales follow-up process there. Some folks call it rehash. That's also really effective using Hatch and using an automated solution where you can just continue to follow up on that quote. So in both ways, automated tenacity is fantastic. So let's put it all together. Again, guys, we're going to be drawing for a free month of Hatch to instantly text, email, leave voicemails for all your new leads that are coming in. We're going to be doing that giveaway in just a minute. I'm loading up the attendees now into a randomizer, so we'll get that squared away. But Ruben, would you mind sharing some information about sort of the nuts and bolts, the technical details of this integration?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty simple, simple as pie. We're ultimately capturing all those leads. We're acting as a protective layer between your CRM or your LMS. And whether it's leads from modernized QuinStreet Home Advisors, some of the largest ones, or some of the smaller lead providers or aggregators or brokers that are out there that you can work with, ultimately, you can capture those leads. You can qualify them in real time. You can make sure that they have the compliance you need to do all the outreach that we discussed. You can hit any type of third-party API. We have a number of them that are on our website under our marketplace integrations catalog. We're also open. If you have a great data source that we don't have, hey, bring your credentials. We're open to engaging and working with any data source that is out there. And then ultimately, you're delivering that lead data in real time, milliseconds, to your CRM, whether it's Lead Perfection or Salesforce or any of these ones that are listed here, and simultaneously being able to do that and deliver that information to Hatch. Historically, contractors would be manually entering their leads into their CRM and then manually calling them. And, I'll just be upfront. I mean, that's just not going to get it done in 2020 and beyond. There are call centers and companies and brands out there that are stacking their technology and not only utilizing ActiveProspect and Hatch, but using, some of the best-in-class dialing solutions that are out there along with others. So, the goal is to take the investment and the media dollars that you're spending, which can be, if it's $10,000, $100,000, or $1 million, it's all relative to what you're doing, and ultimately engaging in outbounding and filtering and enriching with the lead data. And, we're just really excited to be partnered with Hatch and just, really appreciate being on this webinar.
You said it great, Ruben. And if you're interested in learning more about any of our products here, let us know here in the poll here, and we'll be sure to reach out to you, show you around the platforms, and show you guys how our products work together. It's really funny, Ruben. The folks that are using ActiveProspect and Hatch together are seeing such a lift in appointment set. It's absolutely incredible, the real-time nature of being able to combine, obviously the validation, making sure the lead's not bogus, but also making sure that you're following up on that lead fast. So really excited about working with you guys. It's a really good partnership, really good integration. So let us know in the poll. We're going to do the giveaway in just a minute.
I agree. I think one thing that I'll mention to the audience is I'm like, maybe like most, where if you hear something over and over, at least 3 or 4 times, then you kind of want to look into it. And certainly that was the case with our partnership here at Hatch. Our goal is to align with best-in-class services that we can deliver to. And we've heard time and time again that Hatch, Hatch this, Hatch that. So, we started out about 6 months ago and working together, and now we're here on this webinar. So it's all exciting.
Yeah, great stuff, guys. I'll keep that poll open. Again, we have a Q&A right now, or we're going to do the giveaway right now, and then we'll get to the Q&A. I know some of you guys already asked some questions. So we have the giveaway here. The winner of the giveaway for today is, here we go, Amy Fulmore. Congratulations, Amy. Amy Fulmore won herself.
Go Amy. Go Amy.
A 1 month of Hatch for free. So we'll be sure to reach out. Get you set up there on Hatch, and we'll get you going here. So now let's go into the Q&A. We had quite a few questions here. So I'm going to start with one for you, Ruben. It came from Tom. Ruben, it looks like you're answering it via text now, but do you want to answer it out loud?
Yeah, so Tom's asking, so everybody can see the question?
Tom's asking,
is it, so the question was in regards to IVR, and I think I just answered it, so take it away, but a lot of companies who are capturing leads via IVR, or maybe a live transfer, appointment provider, what we're able to do is we have a Twilio integration, which allows you to capture that call and ultimately append in real time the carrier information of that phone number from that either appointment provider or that live transfer provider. I personally use that integration at my previous company, and what it really does is creates that warm handoff so that you're not having that delay. Consumers hate when they talk to somebody, yourself, and you talk to your, whether it's your wireless carrier or another service where you've given the information to one person and they go, great, let me transfer you somewhere else. And then they transfer you to somebody and somebody's like, yeah, what are you calling for? So it really makes that handoff warm, which ultimately helps to convert more deals.
Awesome. We got another question here. Does Hatch work for other, is Hatch only for home improvement lead follow-up, or does it work with other verticals as well? Yeah, we work with other verticals, especially folks that have call centers. Call centers, are using our product ultimately as a messaging center. So if you have a call center, you're not in home improvement, we'd love to work with you. They're seeing a lot of success there. We had another question from Kevin, who says, asked, how are you acquiring credit score? Is this data appended happening in real time? That's a good question for you, Ruben.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So it's not an actual FICO score. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. We have an Experian integration where you are taking the credit score based off a ZIP plus 4. A ZIP plus 4 is usually a building or a block, so it's an aggregate of the credit scores or credit ranges within that area. We are in works with TransUnion to have another option that's going to be available. And it's not necessarily used to reject leads whatsoever. I want to make sure that that's clear, especially for those lead providers who are probably on this call. A lot of times you're using that credit score to bucket those leads inside of a cadence or potentially silo those leads for manual auditing. So it's helping with your compression and time of your call center labor and staff.
It's a great answer, Ruben. And Matt asked, would you talk to a younger homeowner differently than someone who has owned their home for 20 years? Just wondering if that should change the cadence. Yeah, what we find is that millennial home owners are more likely to want to communicate with you over text. So for sure, leading with text. What we found is with our customers is that typically the older homeowners still like to use email. So that's why it's really important to do that multi-touch follow-up. So yeah, you're going to want to make sure you communicate well with them. Also, we find that younger homeowners are more likely to fill out pre-appointment questionnaires because they're really more tech savvy, and they're going to want to be more likely to open links on their phone, engage with your content. So definitely be content first with those people. So For example, if you're trying to set the appointment, you don't get a response, maybe surface up a blog post about, some customer stories that you guys have, successful jobs you completed that look awesome. They're going to be more likely to be interested in that because they're researching around typically more than some older home buyers is what we've seen. So that's a really good question, Matt.
Yeah, agreed. And Matt, I've heard and I've seen in a lot of home service outbound scripts where one of the questions is, how long have you lived at your home? And so by being able to know how long someone's been at their home, not only do you have that information, but you're able to craft a talk track such as, wow, it looks like you've been in your home for 30 years. Must have got a deal on that home, versus somebody who just moved in 6 months ago, where you would say, wow, it looks like you're new to the neighborhood. How do you like it? So just different talk tracks with certain types of information that are cents on the dollar. And so if you can give your appointment setters a little bit more of an advantage or an edge, it's going to be helpful, and you're going to see that in your numbers in terms of conversions to appointments.
For sure, Ruben. All right, we got time for one more question from Tom. Is it set up? I assume he's talking about Hatch. So the text to consumer goes from a local sales agent when the lead capture is centralized nationally. Yes, we can work with you to route those leads to make sure you're sending it from the right branch. So that's a no-brainer for us, and we're happy to reach out and show you how that all will work after the webinar. So again, guys, thanks for hopping on here. Ruben, thank you for taking time. I appreciate you're on a train with your son, having a great freaking time in the Pacific Northwest. So thanks for hopping on, man.
No, I appreciate it. This has been exciting, Josh. I really, thank you guys for having us. For any of the audience who's out there, appreciate you bearing with me. I've never done a webinar on a train before, but I think that we did the best we could. And ultimately, if there's any questions you have for me, you can always find me on LinkedIn at Solar Junkie, or you can, come to our website or fill out one of the forms here. We're here to help, and I'm jazzed and excited about supporting home service contractors nationwide.
Awesome. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on. Have a great rest of your week.